P04FB is probably the most common code that's setting right now. It's the crankcase pressure sensor. As you can see, I've got two different styles here, and I want to go into a little warning on making sure that you get the right one. We're going to get into that in a little bit. I also have a camshaft cover right here. Now I'm going to show you where that sensor is located on the truck. And then as you see, we've actually got this broken apart so that way we can get a closer look. Now, first of all, let's start off with, I highly suggest you get some diagnosis to make sure that you even need to replace the sensor. But let's assume the diagnosis has already taken place and you need a new sensor. Now, as you can see, I've got two different sensors here. And like I said, I'm going to give you a little warning in just a little bit, but let's get into where this is. Now what we have is an LZ0, and the LM2 and LZ0 will have the sensor in the exact same spot. Some of you may have some of this stuff, some of you may not. It doesn't matter because the process is still the same. Now, this is the charge air cooler. Obviously, this is aftermarket. That's the PP Zilla pipe. That's also aftermarket. Yours will look a little bit different, and way back there is where that sensor is. Now, I have a sample engine that's going to make it easier for you to see, but I want to point out that this is the front of the engine. That's the back of the engine. There's a cowl right there. And then as you can see, that pipe needs to come off. And right there, you can see that 7mm that you need access for the clamp. Now that needs to be loosened up. Just enough to where that we can pull that clamp off of there, or the whole pipe that way. Obviously, this is a lot easier to see. The cab is off so we can see the back side of the engine. And this is going to help you understand where this sensor is located. It's held on with a little 8mm bolt, and it's actually easy to just pop off. As you can see, I just pushed that one in. You can pop it off, pull it up. Yours may be a little tight. Be sure not to break that off inside the camshaft cover. Now, once you've got the proper one that goes to your vehicle, you want to replace it. I want to give a warning. Make sure you get the correct one. So I'm going to set these like this. Obviously, there's two different sensors here, but they both do the same purpose. And I don't know what the difference is if this is an LZ0 and this is an LM2, or if this was a design change. Not sure, but I want to give you a warning. So if you look inside, I'm trying to get my angle just right. See that little tab right there? Notice where that is in relation to that one. That's why it's critical that you get the correct one. Otherwise, your connector is not going to connect to it. Now let's go back to the camshaft cover. And if we go to the underside of it, we'll see how the system actually works. And now what happens is you have crankcase vapors that are within the engine itself. And you'll notice this if you have the vehicle running and you pull off the oil cap, and you're going to see vapors. That's normal. Crankcase vapors are normal. So I just want to point that out. Now what happens is they actually go in through these ports right here, and they'll end up traveling through, and this is where your vapor is. Now, this valve is right on top of the camshaft cover. So it's like this. So I removed it so that way we can take a look at inside a little bit better. This port right here, this one actually goes to your turbocharger, and that allows the vapor to go from the camshaft cover into the turbocharger, then out through the charge air cooler. And that's shown right here. You can see the hose right there. That's coming out from the camshaft cover into the turbo, and then it goes in right through to the charge air cooler. Now with the vapors, they build up into here, and then they make their way over to the sensor itself. Now that's a very tight tolerance for the sensor to read. It actually sticks to just -0.1 to 0.1 psi. Anything higher or lower than that, and you're actually going to set the P04FB. Now that could happen because of buildup within the sensor itself. Now if that's the case on yours, then yeah, just swapping out the sensor, it's an easy fix. Let me grab a light so I can show just how small these holes are. So you can see it doesn't take much for any buildup in there to actually cause problems. So that's probably why they're happening more frequently right now with it around winter time, because there's probably a little bit of water within there, a little water vapor as well, and it could be freezing up, just contaminating the sensor. Hopefully this video helps you understand how to replace this. I'm not telling everybody to go replace theirs. Obviously, go get a diagnostic done on it. And if you did want to tackle it yourself, at least now you kind of know where the sensor is. It's back here on the back side. Again, just the 8mm bolt that's holding it down. And it's a simple replacement. So you're probably wondering, do I need to do any resets or anything like that afterwards? No, you do not need to do any resets. It's just a simple replace and then clear the code. I also want to make note to make sure that you do have the pipe reinstalled properly, because you don't want any air leaks at all. Make sure that your boot over on this side is installed as well, and you get it tucked in with all the grommets and everything. Till next time, see you.